Hi there folks, my name's Nova24 and welcome to another little Microsoft Flight Simulator product review, and this is a review definitely more than a little out of my comfort zone. So today folks, we are going to be having a look at the, well, it's a little bit of a release because I've been busy, but it's the semi-recently released rendition of the BAe146, or the British Aerospace 146, from the wonderful team at Just Flight. So we're going to be having a review for this aircraft today. We're going to be doing sort of our regular thing. We're going to be doing a cold and dark start. We're going to be taking it for a bit of a test flight, but the reason why this is a bit out of my comfort zone is the fact that airliners are not my thing. They are absolutely not my thing. I am much more comfortable when I've got steam gauges and a propeller at the front. That is where I am at my most comfortable. So this is going to be a bit of a challenge actually for me to see what it's like, but also I think it's actually in a way a good thing, because it's going to be an interesting example of how accessible this aircraft is, even for people who love the aeroplane but may not be overly familiar with some of the modern intricacies of the way of doing things for airliners. But beyond that, as a bit of an illusion here, it is a bit of a trip down memory lane for me with this one. So we're going to be having a look at the 146, and we're going to be doing it in this livery here, the Ansett Australia livery, for an Australian airline that is long since departed. So it's going to be a bit of a trip down memory lane for me for this, for both real life reasons and for simulation reasons, which we'll get into a little bit later in the flight. Alright, so as I was saying before folks, we are going to be doing this in our standard sort of example here. We're going to be going around, we're going to be having a look at the external model, have a look at some of the features of the aircraft. Then we're going to be going through the cold and dark start. Now, the pack from Just Flight includes a variety of different models of the aircraft, which is really impressive to see. So the particular one that we're going to be flying is the BAe146 3-300. Which was the longest variant of the three major variants of the aircraft that were produced. But as well as the 300, it comes with the 100 and the 200 passenger versions of the aircraft. It also comes with their freighter variants, because the aircraft, not only does it have great success globally as a sort of a regional jet, as a feeder airliner, it also saw a great deal of service on cargo routes around the world because of its quiet operation, leading to one of its many nicknames that it earned during its career, and its ability to operate out of relatively short strips, even with a full cargo load. So the cargo conversions of the aircraft continue flying to this day. I don't think many of the passenger variants are still operating today, or if they are, there's very, very few of them. But primarily, we still see these aircraft plying our skies thanks to various freighter operations and also some aerial firefighting. So the detail of the model is actually really quite impressive. Now, the Just Flight are very much veterans of the 146, having released several versions of the 146 for legacy simulators over the years. Most notably, because this of course forms their 146 Professional Edition, where it is targeted at users who are expecting a higher fidelity and a higher quality rendition of their virtual aircraft. So they've taken the skills, or taken the experience that they've had on working with the previous editions of this aircraft, and definitely brought it to Microsoft Flight Simulator with a beautifully, highly detailed model and some amazingly well done textures on the externals and the internals as well. So a lot of detail coming here. One of the things I love about this aircraft, about the way they've done the textures, and it's through a lot of Just Flight's works, is that it's not just a factory new sort of rendition of the aircraft. Like, you are getting an aircraft that has seen many hours of flight, and you actually get that experience inside the aircraft. So it has the dirt marks and all the rest of it on the aircraft. Now, as well as the external model of the aircraft, which we'll jump inside, we'll open up some of the additional doors in just a moment. But I did just want to point out this one. So, as part of getting ready for this this video today that I'm filming, I connected my ground power unit, and yes, this is the ground power unit that gets modelled. Is available with the aircraft. So when you call your ground power unit, it doesn't call the in-sim one. No. It literally tows a diesel generator and plugs it into your aircraft, which I think is really damn cool. Like, it's one of those small little things. They didn't have to do it, but you know what? It's really cool that they actually added not only the model, but the animations and the sound set that goes with it as well. So, props to the team at Just Fly for this, because that's a really cool little addition. All right, now, before we continue on with the rest of... actually, you know what? Let's jump into the office, because I want to show a few things about the office, and then we'll come back outside for a couple more external things to look at. Alright, so here we are in the office. Now, normally when we sort of in the office here, we'd normally be getting ready for takeoff. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to show a couple of things on the EFB here at the moment. Now, I will point out firstly that if you're expecting a modern sort of EFIS full glass cockpit in this aircraft, you're going to be disappointed. This is a different era of airline aviation, when this is still very much the transition when we were moving from analog to digital. So there are some digital components. You know, we've got an FMC that's actually powered by working title. We've got a weather radar, sadly not operational, but everything else is very much steam driven. The only sort of modern acknowledgement is here our electronic flight bag. Now, the EFB is actually really cool and really well done. And I do want to highlight a couple of things here, but and we'll get to that a little bit more a little bit further on in the video. But first off, we're just going to jump over to the aircraft control one, so we can actually do a lot of various different setups, and you can control a lot of the doors. You can control your fuel load, your cargo load throughout the aircraft here as well. Now, what you can also do, you also preset the aircraft various states. So if you don't want to go through your full cold and dark setup, for example, you can actually set the aircraft to cold and dark for 0 ready to go, or you can set it for ready for takeoff or ready for turnaround. So you've got a few options. You also got to control and set a few things here. The cargo variants of the aircraft also control a few other doors. Rear cargo door, for example. You've also got various announcements that you actually make to your cabin crew, and you actually hear them in the background then telling that to the passengers as well. So really kind of like nice little details. Now, what I'm here to do this one, I'm going to open up the other doors so we can actually see those around the aircraft. I'll do that. But this is also where you sort of do your chocks and ground power are also controlled from up here as well. All right, now we've got those doors open. Let's go back to our external view and have a look a bit more of those animations. Alright, so first off, we've got the entry stairs that were already open as we started the video. Now, the stairs are actually integrated into the aircraft, which is a fairly unusual thing for aircraft. Very few modern aircraft actually have inbuilt air stairs. I believe Airbus does offer it as an option, as a retrofit or as an option for some aircraft, though very few operators actually take advantage of it. But yeah, the 146 had that by default, and it is fully modeled with this one. Incidentally as well, if you don't have your hydraulics enabled, then you will not be able to retract these. So yeah, you can deploy them, but you can't retract them. So just FYI. Or as we move back around the aircraft here, so we can see we've got our other forward door here, which we can open up here. Though we probably shouldn't have opened that, given we've got the diesel generator there. We also got the baggage hold entry point there. So you got your forward cargo in there, and your rear cargo space also there. And in the copy of our rear doors, both open on both sides. Now, in the trader variants of the models that are included, it also has a side loading cargo door for the quiet trader variants that are included with this pack. So you do actually have to have the actual side cargo door will open for this one. Alright, so I just wanted to show those various doors and animations open there. We'll see a few other animations in the aircraft as well, including the animated air brakes. But for now, let's see how we go with actually setting up a flight plan and getting ourselves into the sky. Alright, I'm going to, alright, back in the office, I'm just going to close up some of these doors now. There we go. Okay. Now, alright, now here's the fun part now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to connect my ground power. Alright, I'm going to turn my avionics on. And we're going to have a go at programming my FMC here. So this is going to be interesting for, I should probably actually point out before I do that. So one of the other cool things about this for those of you who fly airliners on a more regular basis, this EFB actually has full capability to connect to Navigraph, your Navigraph subscription, so you can actually get all your Navigraph charts directly on your tablet here. You also have the ability to connect to SimBrief as well, so you can actually see your SimBrief, your SimBrief flight plan and routing that you've actually set up. It has it all imported directly through here, which is really kind of cool. Like, it's really kind of interesting and great to have that there as an availability for you. This is literally my first time ever using SimBrief, so this is going to be, yeah, as I said, like I'm very much a novice when it comes to airliner operations, and I've got to say huge shout out, huge thank you to Razor from the FSX/DCS and MSFS Blue Angels. Wow, he's got a lot of credits to his name now. For a huge shout out to him for thank you to for walking me through the basics of how to do this programming. Hopefully I'll do your training proud and won't make a mess of it. Anyway, so you've got all this information sort of available for you that you can refer to when doing it. Alright, now in the meantime, I've got all this written down beside me, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and program my FMC here and see if I can not make a complete mess of it. Get my camera in position here. Okay, alright, let's give this a go. Okay, so do that in. Alright, let's go flight plan. Okay, so today we're going to be flying from Sunshine Coast, so also used to be known as Maroochydore Airport, and interesting, funny enough, it actually changed its ICAO recently. So when I was like planning this flight, I kept punching in the wrong ICAO and going, why is it not in the database? Oh, that's right, because the ICAO has changed. And then we're going from there and we're going to be flying down to Coffs Harbour for a different, something a little bit different, do a couple of regional routings here. Alright, so then we're going to do departure of. Now I've checked our winds. We're going to be departing from runway 13 via the Mulu 1 departure transition. Alright, then we're going to go for our arrival. We're going to be coming in on 03. So we're going to do RNAV 03. We're going to go through the CFSE transition, I believe. There we go. Cool. There we go. Alright, that's set. Now, on to our flight plan. Let's see if I can make a mess of this flight plan. Okay, let's have a look. Alright, so what we're going to do is going to tap in here. So we're going to move on. Okay. Now, we want to set to Q. 1, 2, 3. Q923, you hit the wrong side, and then we're going to exit that one at Sunegg. Now, by the way, folks, I'm not using any, I'm not using Navigraph. I don't have a Navigraph subscription or anything like that. I'm just simply using the in-sim the in-sim AirAx that are actually that ship with Microsoft Flight Simulator. I did a bit of referencing in Little Nav Map, and then just a bit of research through SimBrief as well, which, funnily enough, is also owned by Navigraph, but it's the free tool. Okay, so next waypoint is Apache. GI. We're going to Tessie. So I'm really hoping I don't make a complete mess of this, because yeah, this is like probably the third time ever I've ever actually programmed anything like this, so this could be rather interesting. Okay, we're going Adma. I wonder if that was named as Admiral Akbar. I'm not sure. Guess we'll find out. Then we're going Losku. Okay, LOSKU. So basically what I'm entering here, folks, is sort of going, so because I've got one part of here is an actual airway, which is the Q923 up here, and then these are sort of individual waypoints that I'm actually sort of punching here, and because I'm punching them in the right here, that's why it then throws the direct through from that to that. At least that's how it was explained to me. I'm sorry if I've messed that up for anybody who's yelling at the screen right now for not using the right terms. Right, that's done, and then that should be then on to, there we go. Okay, so that should be right. So if I hit execute on that, go flight plan, we'll go legs, then we should have a couple of discontinuities there, so we're going to move those up. I should have another one, I think. Nope, that's it. That's the only one. Okay, that's good. So we got that, and just discontinuities if we do with execute our missed approach. Okay. All right, so we can execute this. So we've got our flight plan is now set. Okay, now let's see. Well, whether or not it actually ends up working or not is a whole nother conversation, but you know, there we go. I managed to program it without any discontinuities. I'm pretty chuffed with that so far. All right, so that brings us to pretty much we are ready to get this aircraft started now and get ourselves underway. So let's bring up our trusty checklist for this one and get ourselves started. So, all right, so we've got landing gear is down. Check weather radar is off. I'm going to set to 15 degrees up. As I said, we won't actually be using it because it's not, unfortunately, sadly, not operational. The screen will come up, which I'll show you a little bit later on, but it doesn't, unfortunately, actually work, sadly. Hopefully, after Sim Update 10, we'll get a... we will actually start getting the ability for developers to access the weather API, where they might actually be able to do that, which would be awesome. Okay, air brake and flaps are in, set. Okay, no smoking sign. Somewhere around here. There it is. On, set. Okay. 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 That's right, I've got to wait till I get the hides running. That's right, never mind. Okay. Tick. Okay, nav lights are set to... I've actually got those on my switch here. Set high on. Check. Done. Okay. Good. Okay, let's check battery 1 and 2. Both on. Bolt checks are good. Parking brake is on yellow and park. Check. Master switches all on. Okay. Master's all set. Ground ignition as required, not required. Anti-skid set to on, check. Spoilers both set to on. SE and bus tie, which if I remember correctly is down here. Set to on, both set to auto, check. Standby inverter and standby generators set to arm. Okay, generators 1 and 4 set to off and reset, check. Set to galley. Okay, APU generator set to on. Fuel pumps left inner is on. Fire handles in, check. Ground test. APU set to start. RPM's climbing, TGT stabilizing. Nice to get, and even with the sound of the APU actually running as well, which is good. Okay, APU air is on and packs are on. Check. Landing gear indicators 3 greens. Check. Reverse check and norm. Okay, now that one. That one, that's right. I gotta do. Check. Good. Red light extinguished. Alright, cabin emergency lights set to arm. And arms. Okay, DC pump on. Pressure rising, good. SCU pump on, PTU on. Pressure's rising. Okay, so with the hides on, close the stairs. Complete with the sound of them going in. And now closing the passenger door. I love how also that you got to wait until the stairs are actually put away before you can actually close the door. So again, nice little touch that you have to do that. So that's cool. Okay, flight deck emergency lights set to arm. Check. Your dampeners both on. Check. Oxygen is good and checked. Okay, alright, now we're on to our 4 start. Okay, departure briefing. So departing on runway 13, and then following the flight plan as briefed. Well, you know, I assume that you've, I'll just assume that you've all read that briefing because, sure, let's pretend I did. Anyway, okay, so, see, yeah, this airliner thing is very, very new for me, let's just say that. It is all very, very new for me. Alright, so radios set, yes, good. Brake pressure is down there, and set. Check about 25 RPM. Alright, now all hides to be turned off. Hides off. Okay, fuel center transfer set to auto. Set. Ice detect is on. And locked. I'm gonna close. I love how you can actually hear the commotion from the cabin, which is kind of cool. So we're just gonna close that cockpit door there. Shame that you don't see the models, but you know, I'm happy that I don't take the frame rate hit on that one. Alright, ice detect on, fasten the safety seat belts. Fasten the safety seat belts. Sign is set to on. Check. Fuel quantity is checked. Flight data recorder is set. Altimeter is set and cross-checked. There we go. Should be about 30 feet for this airport. Yeah, looks good. Okay. End-to-earth ground operation switch light is extinguished. Check. Okay. M1 speed dogs are engine set. Okay, so we're going to power this one on. And do its built-in test. Okay, we are good. Now, I'm sure there's probably more detail than I know I can go into, but my test flights, I haven't gone any further with this one. I know there's more I can do with this one if I was a bit more serious, and if you are a bit more into your by-the-book operations, you can reset a lot of your speed bugs for this. But I found that as somebody who's beginning with airliners, I can still fly without it, so I'm just going to roll with that one. Okay, doors equipment closed and remove. Okay, so we can remove ground power. Ground power is off. We can remove that away now. Tick item, check. Okay, engine start. Alright, beacon is on. Packs and APU air is off. Check. Engine anti-ice is all on. Okay, TMS. Oh, I gotta power that off. There we go, I can turn that on later. Okay, engine start power set to norm. Set. Engine master switch set to on, starting with engine 4. Okay, engine starter operating. N1 rising. Sorry, N2 rising. 10%. And a good turn my head to get down there and fuel on. Just ticking all the things that I did before. Okay, I bet. Coffee, so tank's good. Alright, and this was going so well, so my start was going so well as well. What did I miss? Sounds right. I know what I did. Okay, start her off. Okay, let's go with pumps all on. Shut open. Okay, let's re-power that on. Okay, starter master on. Two. There we go. Right, okay, yep, I missed the fuel pumps. There we go. TGT is rising. See, and that's actually a good thing. It shows that there's a level of detail in here that actually means that because I didn't engage the things correctly, it is there for me. So I feel really awkward that in the review video I made a mess of it, but the fact that, you know, you can figure it out is actually a good thing. And it also goes to show the fidelity of the systems that Just Flight have actually modeled in here, which is good. Okay, so engine 4 is running. Now set over to engine 3. Engine starter operating. Watch for N1 and N2 rising, N2 10%. Ignition confirms. And stabilizing. Okay, starter powering over to starter 2. Starter operating. Watching for that 10%. 10% and fuel on. Ignition core TGT rising. Okay. Alright, and finally, last but not least, engine 1, engine set to start, starter operating. 7, 8, 9, and 10%. Fuel on. Alright, so that's our engines started. Alright, after start, checklist. Let's let that engine finish. Alright, looking good. Okay, so starter power, starter select set to off. Starter power is normal, starter master is set to off. There we go, looking good. We'll tick those lists there. Engine anti-ice as required. It is, it's a little bit chilly at the moment, so we'll leave those on at the moment. Alright, Gen 1 and 4 is set to on. Generators are set and good. Brake fans set to auto. Check. 2 and 3 hydraulic pumps both on. Check. AC pump set to auto and on. Alright, check. Heaters all on. So let's go through here. So check. RC detect is on. We are good. Okay, APU air packs on. We'll use APU air on for the moment. Put our packs on. Now our cruise altitude was going to be. We'll actually set that. We'll set that now. So our cruise altitude is going to be 25,000 feet today, as we head down the eastern seaboard of Australia. That's 25. So I'm going to preset that on my autopilot, and once we get in the air, I'll set it up for cabin pressurization as well. Okay, set. Engine air of Aerospace office required. Good. Okay, TMS is powered on. And we're set to takeoff mode. Set. Transponder is good. All right, and finally, last but not least, taxi lights set on. Awesome. Well, there we go. I actually managed to get most of the way with the check. I got through the checklist with mostly not making too much of a mess of it, so we're good. All right, everything looks pretty good here at the moment. So what we can do now is we'll get ourselves out and ready. All right, everything looking good here. We'll check that off once as we line up before we take off. All right, finally, we're going to remove our chocks away. And we'll get our pushback underway. Incidentally, folks, if you're interested, the airports that we are operating from today are both are some great Australian airports that are available from Orbix Direct. So if you are looking to expand your flight simulation horizons and look for new destinations to go and fly, especially in the great land down under, then definitely give a consideration to picking up some of the great scenery available from Orbix. Alright, come to the end of our pushback here. Air pressure is set and good. Time for us to taxi out. As we're taxiing along here, as I said, this is one of the things I like about the 146 is the fact that it is, although it's an airliner, and it's a jet airliner, it still is very much a steam-driven sort of airliner. None of this electronic stuff at the moment, so you do have to work a bit harder with the aircraft. There is, obviously, as we saw, with me programming it, which was, a bit of a shocking exercise, but I managed to get there. There is a functional FMC in here. Now, from those who claim to be in the know, apparently this isn't 100% accurate to the FMCs that are in BAe146s, but at the same time, it is it's coded by the team at Working Titled who do amazing jobs on various avionics, obviously most notably for their G1000, and they've delivered an experience that for somebody like myself, for example, who is very much new to the world of FMCs and new to the world of airliners, that's very, very effective and does the job that it needs to do. And overall, actually having to sort of hand fly, not so much hand fly the aircraft, you do hand fly it a fair bit. A lot of this aircraft is it may not have a lot of the things that you might be used to. Those of you who may fly the Mad Dog, for example, you're probably going to be a little bit more at home with this aircraft than perhaps those who do not, who might only be used to doing Airbuses or just the more modern Boeings. But things like for example, like vertical speed holds and stuff like that. Like they're all based on you sort of when you capture them in the moment. But the LNAV works very, very well for setting that once we obviously set up our altitude right cruising here. And one of the great things about this aircraft is we'll be able to experience some of its performance, of its time to climb performance, which the BAe146 was most famous for in its career. Okay, so I'm going to pull up a checklist here as we come up on the hold short point. We'll do a before takeoff checklist on the hold short. Okay, we'll do our announcement for seats for takeoff. Alright, we have checked our brakes, flaps, 18 degrees, and moving. Flight instruments cross-checked, altimeter's good, flight director's on, navigation feed coming from FMC, trim set and check for takeoff. Set. Okay, config is good. Ignition A and B is set. Cabin secured. Weather radar, as I said, like I will power it on, but as I said, like it is just a power on thing where it's not actually functional. We'll drop that to about a 5-degree tilt. Okay. Switch over from taxi lights to landing lights. Strobe lights are on. Okay, TMS is on and set to takeoff mode. Check. Flight controls are free and clear. Okay. We are good to go. Okay, alright, let's taxi now down to the end of the runway for our departure. Our departure that we're from, the Mulu 1 departure has no restrictions once we are past, so we'll be fine to essentially set straight for to go straight for our cruise altitude. This is all still, as I said, this is all very unusual for me, flying airliners, because it's definitely not something that I'm actually normally used to. Now, I believe that's actually always essentially, whereas you pull the power back, you actually get a notice warning for the anti-ice protection of the engine. I have no idea if that's normal or not, but I have noticed that if you are running below below about 250 on your N1, that's actually what you ends up happening. So for any 146 pilots who actually end up, if any of you actually watch this video, let me know if that's an actual thing on a 146-300. Okay, it's all checked. Co-pilot's flight director bars on as well. Alright, we are lined up, ready for our departure. Okay. And without any further ado, let's get this aircraft into the sky. Power set. I like the call-outs that the Just Flight sort of pilot does give you, which is kind of cool.
see alive both sides. 8 knots restricted.
Gear up. Very useful having those call outs as well. Okay, now on that note, what we're going to do is we're going to go AP, altitude on, LNAV, IAS set. Flaps cleaned up, gears up, landing lights out. Alright, let's grab our checklist for our climb out checklist. After takeoff checklist, landing gear up, lights out, check, flaps are up. TMS sync as required. We're going to leave this in takeoff mode while we're in our climb. Engine air is all on, check. Alright, that's set altitude. So as I said, we're going to be cruising at 25,000 today. So we're going to turn our pressurization here. Oop. Cabin flight altitude. Cabin altitude 25,000. There we go. Set. All done. And pressurization is good. Okay. Circulating on. APU air is off. Alright, climb altimeters as required. PTU and AC pump is set to off. Check. APU set to stop. Okay. As required, and lights as required. Okay, alright. So we are already climbing. So I set it up to a speed hold, an indicated airspeed hold during our climb. Because one of the things about the 146 is its exceptional time to climb performance. I mean, we're already passing 7,000 feet at the moment. And of course, as I was saying before, like, it's an older sort of aircraft. And one of the things I found is best setting it to an indicated airspeed so it maintains a speed for climb. So I've got essentially got my power set to max during our climb here. So we're maintaining around about 190, 200 knots indicated during our climb as we head towards our cruising altitude of 25,000. As I was saying before, like, you can tell just looking at the window here, we've got quite the steep ascent here, which is said one of the things I really wanted to show off with this aircraft. And one of the things that I love about the 146, the 146 for me, I got to fly in it when, as a passenger when I was a lot younger. And it's just an amazing aircraft, and I just really, really enjoyed it. And it's one of the few airliners that I do actually enjoy flying. Because funnily enough, there's a bit of a story with a connection with the 146 and this channel, but we'll have a look at that one a little bit later on. Alright, but as we continue our climb here, we're just coming up to the end of our SID at the moment. We're not first, we're a few miles away from our SID conclusion. And then we'll be on to our main route. So we'll probably do a bit more once we're in cruise. So what we'll do is we'll take a bit of a quick break in the video here, and we'll come back once we've leveled off and cruised at our cruise altitude. Alrighty, so now that we have leveled off at our cruising altitude here, I've got my system over here set to MCT. I think that's what I'm supposed to do. Now let's release cabin crew to go serve the drinks. Let's actually, you know, maybe we'll then have a look at the cabin as well. So let's go release crew. Alright. Turn seatbelt signs off, because I don't think we're off. Oh, well, I guess hopefully we won't get too much turbulence today. Alright, so that gives us that one there. Now, as I said, we're all set up here, so as I said, it's a fairly basic, so it probably gives us a good opportunity now to have a bit more of a wander around the cockpit here. So I love the fact that it's a bit of a beaten up cockpit. Like, yeah, this is the cockpit of an aircraft that has seen a lot of service, and I like that about the aircraft. Everything. Most of the equipment does work here as well. You do have full night lighting capabilities built into the aircraft as well. The autopilot system, as we sort of saw when I was engaging it early on, it's a bit more steam driven, but at the same time, you know, all the functionality, most of the functionality that you've come to expect for those of you who know more about airliners. Maybe you'll correct me, but for me, it's got what I need. It's got heading hold, it's got LNAV, I've got my option for RNAV being driven by my FMC, or radio nav over on the nav frequency there. I have tested to make sure it works, and it does. And of course, you've got glide slope if you can actually do an ILS approach for if you so desire. I have shot an ILS approach with this aircraft, and it worked fairly well. I had no real issues with it. The airport that we're going to be landing at today, Coffs Harbour, doesn't have an ILS, so I won't have an opportunity to show that off in this video. But you know, it does work, at least according to my experimentation. Alright, well, I think that's oh, actually, that's the other thing that I really want that I think is kind of cool about this as well, is I only discovered this by total accident as well. And okay, so part of me wishes that opened up and it had like a guide to have 146 in there. Sorry, Easter egg out of the Concorde. Anyway, moving on. So is this little thing, which I just discovered in one of my early flights, is so you actually have the clippable shades that you can actually sort of rotate, and as you can see, they actually do work in the cockpit. So this is kind of cool and kind of different, not something that I was expecting to find in this aircraft, but it's a neat little thing to see. So obviously probably, you know, more for sort of your dawn or dusk flights, but really interesting to see that actually fully modeled into this one. It is both available on both pilot and co-pilot sides. Both of them are available if you need to call them out. So yeah, found that out by pure accident. Thought it was kind of cool to show off. I wanted to show that again. It's that little attention to detail that I always appreciate with this one. Given the fact that, you know, that this is their professional series, I suppose it's kind of expected in a way. But at the same time, for me, it's that attention to detail that just says a lot. Particularly because I don't necessarily know a lot about how airliners operate, but I like to think that I have a reasonable grasp of how most aircraft operate. So anyway, alright, let's take this opportunity to now have a bit of a navigate around the cabin here. So yeah, we've got the cabin, we've got the flight deck is, you know, fairly sparse. You know, the aircraft was designed as a bit of a sort of back before, you know, when the regional jet concept wasn't really a thing yet. It was designed to sort of fill the niche that sort of sits between turboprop passenger aircraft of the 1970s, 1960s and 70s, and the larger wide body aircraft. It was designed to fill a bit of a gap between the two. So this aircraft sort of, you know, did that and does it pretty well. And it was just interesting to see, you know, that how the design evolved as time went on. So originally it sort of started as a concept. It was it was under Hawker Siddeley. Hawker Siddeley was the original sort of progenitor of this, and eventually when Hawker Siddeley became part of British Aerospace, it sort of moved into under the BAe the BAe British Aerospace name. Then of course eventually onto BAe Systems, and Avro Canada actually eventually took the product line and turned it into the Avro RJ series. So the aircraft's had a bit of an interesting career. Went through obviously three main iterations: the 100, 200, the 300 series, as well as being offered into freighter variants and a convertible variant as well, which you actually convert from passenger to freighter operations fairly quickly. The aircraft is been widely applauded for its power to weight ratio and its quiet operation, which is funny actually, because on the outside it's very quiet, but on the inside not so quiet, and that lines up with my experience in real life as well. And so we've got the boarding ladder tucked away there in the galley. So yeah, it does get half decent sort of cabin there, but of course most of the time we're going to be spending is going to be in here. Alright, let's, now that we've had a quick look at the interior, let's take an opportunity to go and have a look at the outside now that we are in flight. Alright, so here we are once again having a look at the outside of the Whisper Jet over the beautiful skies of Australia, heading over the Queensland border into New South Wales down there. As I said, we kind of had a look at the model previously when we were on the ground, and in the air she looks just as good, if not better, and you can really tell the level of detail that the Just Flight team went to with actually sort of making, the lighting and the quality of the textures. Like, it's the, as I said, it's the grunge and the grime of a fully operational sort of, a long-lived aircraft that is one of the things that actually really makes it for me. Modelling, as I said, is outstanding and looks fantastic. So I can't really sort of say much more than that, other than it looks amazing, and it is. Like, I can't fault it. I fundamentally I cannot fault the external model, and quite frankly, like the interior model as well. The cockpit textures are in beautiful high definitions we saw. I mean, if you wanted to get really nitpicky, you could say that the cabin textures aren't the greatest, but at the same time, if you're spending a lot of time down in the cabin, then I'd be reevaluating why you're doing flight sim, to be honest. But anyway, that's just me. But the other thing that I wanted to mention now that we're in the outside view here, I mentioned before about my sort of connection with the 146 in real life, but there's also a bit of a flight sim connection for me, and a huge sort of thank you to Just Flight for reaching out to me and offering me the chance to review this and bring this aircraft to you. This was actually one of the earliest reviews, the BAe146 originally from Airplane Heaven and Just Flight. The first rendition of it that they ever did was a joint venture between Just Flight and Airplane Heaven many moons ago for ye old FSX. And that was actually one of my earliest product reviews that ever actually featured on this channel. And the video is still available if you're interested in checking it out there. Because, yeah, as I said, it's one of those airliners that for me, it sits in a bit of a unique position where, as I said, I'm not normally an airliner man, but this is the kind of airliner that I can get behind, given the fact that it's a lot more hands-on in some ways, and it is a bit of a challenge to me as well. I mean, all airliners are challenges, they are, but you have to be a bit more engaged with how it works. There's no auto throttle, there's no speed holds, there's no heads-up displays or any of these fancy mod cons. I mean, this one is more advanced than the one that I think we had with FSX, and the fact that it actually has an FMC. So that's been a journey just to be able to learn that one for this video. So yeah, the 146 has a soft spot and a special place in my heart, both in terms of real life and in terms of virtual aviation as well. Well, having looked at the outside views, let's have a quick look at some of the lighting during the night, and then let's see how we go. Alright, so night lighting is something that I've taken to start showing off to you, the viewer, because apparently it is something that is of a lot of interest to you. So obviously externally, probably not much. I mean, obviously we do have the logo lights, but it is interesting that you do see the washout from the interior lighting coming out of the main cabin there. Otherwise, the lighting's fairly basic, fairly sort of stock standard for that. So let's jump into the cockpit and see what the cockpit lighting is like. So night lighting in the cockpit is fairly decent. So again, just what you expect with the aircraft. But I love the fact that it's not this modern LED lighting. Like, they've actually really captured the fact that they are sort of the old-fashioned dimmable bulbs, and that sort of bleed through of the lighting effect of that. I really, really love how that's been captured. You do have the still light, which is probably more like the LEDs here, and as I said, pretty much everything is essentially adjustable in the cockpit as well. The option of sort of turning various lap lights on and off, and sill lights can be turned on and off as well. So, and you've got a fully set of usable controls over on the co-pilot side, but I've left hers off for now. I just wanted to show this off to you. So, yeah, there you go. The lighting works. It does what it says in the tin, and everything is available to you. So, there you go, to show it all off to you. Alright, with that, folks, what we might do is we might break the video here, and what we'll do is we'll rejoin the video as we are on our descent and approach into Coffs Harbour. So I'll see you very, very shortly. Alrighty, so we are back here coming for our approach in through Coffs Harbour, coming in from the inland approach now for the winds here. Now let's do our approach checklist. Okay, altimeters set, cross-checked. Set, fasten safety belt sign is on. APU is set to start. APU running. Brake fans set to auto, check. Fuel panel is set. Cabin has been warned. I did that just before, actually, so you missed it, but it's an auditory announcement where you sort of announce it to the cabin crew, and then they actually give you a report back that everybody is set, which is always good. Alright, now steam approach as required. Now, we're not going to need a steam approach into this airport. However, because the aircraft is a quieter aircraft, and as a result, it was able to operate in airports, particularly inner city airports or airports with a lot of noise restrictions. Some of those features were often involve steep approaches, such as London City Airport. So for a very long time, the 146 was the only jet aircraft that was authorised to actually land at London City Airport. Now, as such, the approach there is quite steep. It's a 5.5 degree glide slope. So you actually have a steep approach button that you can sort of set here, which actually applies a different logic set to the ground proximity warning system for your angle of approach. So that's kind of interesting, and it is modelled accurately. One of the test flights I did was, and I thought about doing it for review purposes, but I wanted to fly in Australia, so that's why you didn't get it. But yeah, it does work, and it is kind of cool that you do have that option there. Alright, we are sec, anti-ice is good. Alright, we are ready for our landing. Alright, now coming in for our approach here, so AC pump set to auto, check. Alright, coming in for our landing lights, our landing gear coming in shortly. Alright, let me check my map over the side here. No, we should be good. About to turn towards runway heading very shortly once we get over this mountain range. Now, hopefully I won't make a complete mess of this landing is what I'm hoping for. Not guaranteed, by the way, but I'm hopeful I won't make a mess of this landing. Now, let me quickly just check a few details here. So runway heading that we're landing in on is, we're coming in on 03 is the landing that we're coming in today. So we're coming in there, so it's fairly flat, a fairly traditional approach on this one. So we're going to be coming through here, looking at roundabouts. Okay, so we're going to be coming in. Let me just check that because we're going to need to be above 3.9. We'll watch out for those mountaintops. And once we turn, we'll then be descending down to 2,000. Oh, and there's the weather kick in. There's the weather update. Oof. Well, this got a lot more fun, especially considering there's no ILS here. Oh, this is going to be fun. The joys of live weather. Alright, so we're 8 nautical miles to go for our next turn there. Okay, screen heats are all set. No ice detect at the moment, so we are good on that front. Engine anti-ice is still on, so we're good there. Okay, we're going to put our landing lights on. My approach plate shows not below 3,900 feet. So obviously that's because of that mountaintop right there. Alright, 2.5 miles to the next turn. And this should give us a straight in approach. Okay, coming down to 2,000 feet. Alright, so we are... looks like we're around about 9 nautical miles out. Oh, this is going to make coming into this airport rather interesting. Coming in, final waypoints, and then 6 miles to runway. Once with next waypoint, and I got firefighting visibility. Oh, this is going to be fun.
205, descend to flaps 18.
We are going to be running on right on minimums for this.
CE checked below 180, descend to flaps 24. CE checked below 170, descend to flaps 30.
I am really hoping I pop out of this soon. I can see a POI over there of what I think is Coffs Harbour, so this is going to be really interesting.
1,000.
2 miles for runway. Landing lights are, yep, they're on. Adult, 600 feet to go.
$500.
Autopilot decided.
At 300 feet, and I got no visibility on this one. Feet. I have got 0 visibility. There's the airfield. Right, okay. So we might see if we can circle back and hope for some better weather, shall we? Alright, well, with a bit of circling and a bit of magical change of weather there, and also a change of wind data, we're now doing an approach on 2-1 now, so we're coming in for the RNAV approach onto 2-1. I even managed to reprogram the FMC on the fly to go, oh, that wind data's changed. Okay, so we're going to guess we're going to be doing a different approach today. So we're coming in here. Okay, landing flaps are set. Alright, approach is good. Little high on this approach, I think. Bit of crabbing coming in here.
$1,000.
She's very floaty. I found at times. So it has a very high lift wing, and the T-tail and the high set wing gives it a lot of design for a lot of lift, which of course is one of the greatest things why it operates as so well at its sort of short strips.
500.
All's make it a bit floaty coming in for landing. Definitely below glide slope there.
$50, $40, $30, $20, $10,
Ground idle. Brake pressure seen. Yellow and green spoilers. 80 knots. 60 knots.
Well, definitely not my finest approach, I don't think. But you know what? I'll take it. We got down relatively safely. Alright, I definitely think I took a narrow taxiway exit there, but yeah, the joys of flight simulation. That was definitely a definitely an interesting challenge there with the landing there. It was a lot of fun. It's one of the things that's cool about this aircraft as well is with the lift spoilers. So you may have noticed, there was no reverse thrusters. There are no reverse thrusters on this aircraft. It relies completely on the lift spoilers and the giant air brake, the clamshell air brake on the tail there. So the auto deployment of that is fully modeled completely, as you sort of heard the co-pilot sort of calling out the lift spoilers with there. And I just wanted to sort of show them off before I close and put them away. All right, let's get back in and let's close everything up. So let's bring the lift spoilers back in. Let's go and taxi in for parking, and then to give our final thoughts on this little aircraft. I'm sure this review video has made a lot of airliner pilots cry, but I've had a lot of fun so far, I have to admit, even with that challenge of that mess of the weather. Air brake closed in. Alright, so as we're taxiing along, let's do after landing checklist. Air brake spoilers are in, flaps are up, check. Flight directors off. Alright, landing lights set to taxi, and strobes off. TMS powered off, check. Weather radar set to off, check. Engine anti-ice set to off. Oop, wrong button. That's the one I want. And continuous ignition set to off. Alright, after landing checklist complete. So in some ways, the RJ, so the RJ series and the BAe146 series fulfills a similar role to turboprop transports, but at the same time, it doesn't, because it does offer the fact that it does offer a bigger capacity. Like, so it's 125, was 125, 128 was the max capacity of the 146-300 series. So it is definitely, you know, a fairly large capacity. So it offers that great capacity split between your sort of wide body aircraft and also your regional sort of turboprops. So it offers a great combination of aircraft capabilities. All right, so we get marshaled in here. Stop in place. There we go. Okay. All right. Shutdown checklist. Yeah. All right. Shutdown checklist. Parking brake is on. Check. All right. Taxi lights are off. Check. For depressurized. Depressurization complete. Hydraulics all off. Off and dropping. Gen 1 and 4 off, reset. Check. Thrust levers set to fuel off. Oh yeah, I forgot to do the thing, but there you go. Is it automatic clicks in there? Done. Okay, inverse pull to ground up. Check. Fasten seatbelt sign is set to off. Everybody can get out of the cabin. We'll leave those set to auto. Fuel pumps off except left inner. 1, 2, 3 is off. Heaters all off. Check. Ice detect set to off. Close. Check. Beacon light is nav lights off. Beacon light is off. Transponder set to standby. Check. And doors equipment open as required. So let's get our chocks in place. Forward passenger door open. Put our cargo doors open. Door open and stairs deployed. There we go. Check. Done. Awesome. All right, let's go through. I won't bore you with the rest of that checklist. All right, let's shut the aircraft down and we'll give our final thoughts. Alrighty, so final thoughts on Just Flight's BAe146 Professional. So I fundamentally can't fault it. I mean, that's the bottom line. It is an absolutely exquisitely detailed aircraft. The team has really shown that they've taken what they've learned both off their previous sims and their previous experiences with the BAe146, as well as what they've learnt so far in Microsoft Flight Simulator to really produce an aircraft that is of absolutely outstanding quality. One other thing, I think the aircraft has got a lot of detail in there, and it's got everything in there that you would need for someone who's looking at actually recreating the challenge of flying older airliners like this, that really sort of represented an interesting juxtaposition of ages of airliners, when there was this this transition from sort of very steam gauge only cockpits moving towards the digital age, where some of those digital features are there but not all of them, and they're only sort of slowly being introduced. So there's a lot going on in this aircraft to be able to model and to create, and I think the Just Flight team has done an absolutely incredible job with it. Offering the package not only with the base 146-100, but also offering the 200, 300, and the cargo variants of the aircraft all in one complete package, Each aircraft having its own unique flight dynamics, its own unique modeling and setups, really also goes to show that the team at Just Flight are committed to providing not only an incredible amount of detail in the content they release, and very much justifying the professional tag they add to this one, but also recognizing that that they want to give value to simmers as well, by instead of offering, yes, you can have one version of the aircraft but then you've got to pay for all the others, by offering all three, or essentially 6 variants of the aircraft all in one package, along with military versions of the aircraft as well. So for the 32 Royals, the Royal Squadron, so it offers 2 VIP military transport conversions of the 146 are also included with custom models themselves. So there's a lot in this package, and the package is done really, really well, and it gives a sense of the amount of detail they've gone through here as well. Now, in terms of, and this is going to be another sort of side part, I'm sure I made a lot of regular airliner pilots, virtual airline pilots, cry with how I flew tonight. But I actually want to address that and in a way and say that actually makes this aircraft incredibly brilliant, because it is a steep learning curve, but it's not so steep as to discourage you from doing it. And it really, for me, shows a real fundamental use and how you can actually use some of the aircraft that are included in Microsoft Flight Simulator by default to actually, especially if you're new to virtual aviation. This represents a great stepping stone onto bigger things if that's where you're wanting to go, by challenging you to take a bit, more control of your aircraft while still introducing newer systems in ways that can be addressed. The manual and the manuals that come with the aircraft as well are really, really good and give you a lot of detail, including some helpful tutorial flights and some helpful tips on how to use all get the most out of your BAe146 experience. So overall for me, absolute hugely positive review for me. This is one of the few times that you will get me flying an airliner, and is one of the few airliners that I absolutely love flying, and I'm so grateful to the team at Just Flight that they were able to send me a review copy of this one, because thank you so much, guys. This aircraft is a lot of fun, and as I said, although I may not fly airliners a lot, this is one I can see myself flying on, I'm not going to say a regular basis, but one that I would definitely have no problem flying. Well, folks, as I said, that now rounds out this review of Just Flight's professional 146 release for Microsoft Flight Simulator. Thank you so much for joining me for this little review. Don't forget, as always, to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying these videos and want to see more. And of course, as always, you can catch up with me and all the things I'm up to between videos by finding me on Facebook and on Twitter and on Twitch. Just search Overwing24. Alright, folks, thanks very much for watching. Take care, safe skies to all, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.